All right, we are just now getting some breaking news involving the FBI raid on President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. So the New York Times just published a story, and they're reporting that the FBI agents were at Cohen's, his office or this hotel room where he's been staying. This is all related to that Access Hollywood tape where Trump was overheard making vulgar comments about women. So I've got a lot of people coming in to talk to me about this, but in case anyone has been hiding under a rock and has forgotten this tape, roll it.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the. You can do anything.
Okay, and I should also add, as I'm bringing in all of you guys, that the other piece of this from the Times is that they were seeking evidence of whether Cohen tried to suppress any sort of damaging info right before that 2016 presidential election. So, Chris Eliza, just first to you, if we could take a little time capsule back to, was it October?
Yes.
It was the
I was
month
working
before
at the Washington Post. I remember it vividly.
So, in Splash, it comes out in the afternoon. It came out, I remember, right after my show. What happened?
So, what we didn't know, what's new here first, Brooke, is that Michael Cohen was involved at all. We knew that this tape had been revealed. Obviously, the content on that tape led to even people who had sort of grudgingly supported Donald Trump within the Republican establishment to totally disown him. That includes, by the way, in an amazing confluence, Paul Ryan, among other people. So this was seen as, okay, the final moment, he's not going to win now. Well, it turns out we learned later, Steve Bannon, among other people, urged Trump to sort of lean into it and say this was locker room talk, voters don't care about it. But what we did not know, just to reiterate for people dialing in, what we did not know, we know Michael Cohen is sort of Donald Trump's personal attorney, but probably better described, candidly, as sort of his fixer. He's a guy who's around Donald Trump. He helps see problems. He helps deal with problems sometimes before they arise. We did not know he played a role in the Access Hollywood tapes. Now,
I'm not entirely sure. Now, hang on. Let me just, on that thought, because I'm reading this graph from the New York Times. It says, it is not clear
That's what I was just
role, if any, Mr. Cohen played regarding the tape, which was made public before the election. But the fact that the agents were seeking documents related to the tape reveals a new front in the investigation.
That's what I was going to say. We don't know the role, right? But the fact that in this search warrant, we know that they were looking for things about Stormy Daniels, things about McDougal, and now at least documents related to the tape. Now, I guess it's possible he would have documents related to it that he wasn't involved in any way, shape, or form, or maybe he didn't have documents related to it and they were just looking for it. But I will say, if he had any role, and to your point, Brooke, we don't necessarily know that yet. If he had any role, that's new.
Okay, from a legal perspective, Jennifer, now turning over to you. If this is all filed under did they try to shove anything under the rug before all of these people went out to elect the next president of the United States? We don't know yet. If they did, how big of a problem is that?
Well, it's a criminal offense, so it's illegal to give campaign contributions over the limit, and it's illegal to hide what are actually contributions. You have to report all of your campaign contributions. So the contributions here would actually be the benefit of the silence of these people, because that benefits the campaign. If they can tamp down on these payments to Stormy, the Stormy Daniels affair, the Karen McDougal affair, if they attempted to stop the Access Hollywood tape from coming out, then that's a benefit to the campaign, and it's a benefit that would have to be reported under the federal laws.
I'm wondering, as I'm looking at you, that video, and guys, I don't know if we can pull it quickly, where you see President Trump just last week on Air Force One, and he's being asked, did you know about the $130,000, essentially the hush payment to Stormy Daniels? And he said no, and then he said, ask Michael Cohen. And I'm wondering if just from last week, that then put Cohen even more immediately in the crosshairs of this whole investigation.
I'd be surprised if they didn't already kind of know that Cohen was a player in all of these things. I mean, they knew obviously that Cohen was the one that had made the payment to Stormy Daniels, supposedly as a mortgage, home equity line or so on. So Cohen is definitely in trouble here because he's the one who made a contribution over the limit, and the campaign is in trouble because it didn't report the benefit of the silence, which you could say is $130,000 because that's what was paid. So the question here is, did Donald Trump himself, as the candidate, know about this and know this benefit was given to the campaign, which would mean that he also is on the hook for a violation?
Okay. Caitlin, let me just have you jump in. What are you learning about all of this?
Well, Brooke, it's interesting because you have to look at this in a certain perspective, that Michael Cohen is not just the president's lawyer. He's much more than that. As Chris was saying, he's like a fixer. He's really like a pit bull for President Trump, who defends him in every sense of the way, as evident by the fact that he made a $130,000 payment to that porn actress back in the fall before the election. It just really gives you a sense of what Michael Cohen is to the president and how close they were. They've known each other for decades. He really knows a lot about our president, and now we can see why exactly the president was so furious after they raided his home and his office, because of just how much he knows about the president and how much they could potentially uncover there. So we're seeing that, and all of that comes as the president's growing public frustration with Mueller is really expanding, and it's really seeing a very aggressive approach by the president towards a special counsel, something we have not seen in such a public manner before. But this really does help explain just why the president was so furious that he went off about that raid during a dinner with senior military leaders that was supposed to focus on Syria, but instead the president spent the first few minutes talking about the raid of Cohen's office, where they were going and looking for this Access Hollywood tape information here, Brooke.
And
So
Brooke,
he was No, I was just going to say he was just already furious here, and now that he's learning about, this whole Access Hollywood tape is coming back. It didn't even necessarily bite him in, November of 16, but it's coming back again, and I'm just wondering, I don't know, how this would affect whether or not he wants to sit down with Team Mueller.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Chris.
I should note that, Brooke, actually, real quick, the Access Hollywood tape is something that has really infuriated the president, something that has been reported at times. He said, actually, maybe that wasn't even his voice on that tape after all, even though he publicly apologized for that. So it really is a very sensitive source of frustration for the president. So it will be interesting to see how he reacts to this information if he didn't know that they were looking for this kind of stuff already.
Yep. Go ahead, Chris.
I just wanted to know, and Donald Trump doesn't make this distinction, but we should, which is all of this related to the search warrant. So Karen McDougal, Stormy Daniels, and now maybe the Access Hollywood tape, all this stuff that the FBI was looking for in this raid. That is something that they learned about, that Bob Mueller referred to them, right? That is not necessarily, Bob Mueller is not running that piece of things, right? Bob Mueller is focused on Russia meddling in the election and potential collusion. Now, Trump conflates it all together to say, well, Mueller's well beyond his purview. But what Mueller did is not say, hey, guys, let's go. He said, FYI, in the course of this investigation, I've learned about this. I'm referring it over here, and now that's where that's where this raid and the search warrant comes, right? So they are related. They are not the same. Now, he's going to treat them as the same, but we should, in our minds, make sure that we are distinct about which is which and what we're learning from whom.